Hey y'all, I'm Damon Oates, founder of Deco Exchange. Who else has heard that crafting is just a hobby? I turned my love of crafting into a thriving multi-seven-figure company, surrounded myself in an amazing community, and met some amazing business owners along the way. I'm here to show everyone that makers mean business. Melissa, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little about what you do?
Yes, my name is my name is Melissa. Everyone knows me on Facebook as Mellie Mel. The name of my business is Sincerely Creative Mom. I um I I make wreaths. I teach people how to make wreaths. I actually, in my mind, I make a lot more than wreaths, but I don't know if my Etsy shop actually reflects that. But I make stuff.
You make stuff. You also sell stuff, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. 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 I always forget that part.
Yeah. So Melissa, how did you get started?
Um, well, I actually got started before I met you, and it was just like 2 seconds. But I started in 2015. My sister-in-law made a wreath, and I I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." And then she sold a few, and then I was like, "Wait, what?" And so I kind of took off from that, and then I packed everything away. We were moving, and I had to pack up my craft room, and so I just kind of like fell to the back burner. And then in September in 2017, I found this dude making wreaths, and it just bloomed from there. But I've been crafty my whole life though. So like if it was invitations or birthday decorations and all these kind of things, like started my whole entire life. But in September in 2017, my life changed.
Can you believe it's already been almost 3 years?
No, no. I keep thinking it's funny you say that. I was like, man, it's got to be about a year and a half by now, like that I've really been going, and it really hasn't. Like I really have been going since for almost 3 years. That's crazy.
It is crazy. So has your business always been as successful as it is today?
No, oh my gosh, no.
And what did you do before making?
I was so I have a lot of chapters, but right before I started my business, I was an accounting manager for a van. Oh, this is going to sound funny, but for a van leasing company, you could say a van rideshare company. Um, and I had a staff. I was numbers and graphs and spreadsheets all day. It was like I was actually excited. That was my job. Like I enjoyed it. Um, but yeah, that has totally changed.
I think it's funny how many of the makers used to do a technical background. A lot of people
Yeah.
always say like it's always one side of your brain or the other, and I think a lot of us prove that wrong.
Yes, yes, yes. I heard that somewhere that you're either one or the other. And I'm like, how could that be? I'm totally both. I totally have both.
So, Melissa, what motivates you to be able to keep pushing through the struggles of having your own business? Do you have any influential support or something that you keep going back to that keeps you grounded?
Um, so yeah, this is probably going to be my most consistent answer through this whole thing, or through this whole interview rather. Uh, my kids, being a mom and having kids and raising kids and being home with my kids is every single moment. Dang it, I promised myself I wouldn't cry. Every single moment, it's like the thing. It's my thing. It's my thing. It's my why. It's my everyday. It's my morning. It's my afternoon. It's I do all of what I'm doing. And don't get me wrong, I'm having a blast doing it, right? Like totally having a blast. But I do it all so that I can actually live and do my dream that I've dreamed forever and ever. Is just be home and take care of my babies and raise children. Um, it's a very different look than I always thought it would be. I'm very busy doing that, but that's my all of it. That's what I go back to. It's what I when I'm struggling and I'm having a really bad day or an overwhelming day, I always go back to like, I'm doing this. I do not want to go back to corporate America. I'm doing this. Get yourself together, Melissa. You are doing this.
Yeah, and for those who don't know or who don't know your story, you just recently changed your business name from Sincerely Creative to Sincerely Creative Mom. Why is that?
Um, Last year we were, well, short story. Last year in September and then in December, we were able to finalize the adoption of our two children. Um, my my business name, I have reasons that I wanted it to be Sincerely Creative, but there was part of that was the M, and it didn't fit when I made my business name. It just didn't fit, and so I left it off. And so now, sincerely, I'm a very sincere person, and then creative, I just wanted to be, broad. But mom is now it's part of my everything. It's part of my everything. So I felt like I had to add it. Like I felt like I had to add it. It's part of me. It's part of my brand that we keep talking about. Like I had to add it.
And it's not only that, but it's also your community. Like your whole community is sincerely creative moms. Like that's what they do. That's who they are. I mean, some are grandmas now, but they all play that same role. So they connect with it immediately. So if you could go back to when you first started online, uh, with everything that you know today, is there anything that you would have changed?
Yes. So I don't know when I started your coaching group, and I don't know when I actually started, but I know I didn't start right away, right? I know I didn't start because honestly, I'm gonna be real honest. I just thought like, oh, I watch him enough. I can totally do it. I have taken notes. I got this. I can do it on my own, but l- a coaching group is totally a different level. Right, and, like, all those things that I thought that I could do on my own because I felt like I was so versed in the Damon style and all of the not just you, then by that time, it was like, it was a lot of people. I thought, "Oh, I got I don't have to pay for that," and once I started, it was like, "Whoa," like, you should have stopped a long time ago and just made that investment. Um, so if I was starting brand new, if I could listen to someone say, "Hey, truly you need to do this, not because I'm selling this to you, but because it's going to actually benefit your business," I would have joined a coaching group, a lot sooner.
Yeah, and you're a coach in our creative coaching group now, and you've been in our business group for almost 2.5 years, I think.
And you know what? At first, I thought like, and I mean, I know you are who you are, but I just feel like I have to be like real. But I just felt like I can't pay for something that I'm not sure. But I was sure. I was sure. I knew what I wanted to do. I just thought that I could do it without. And and it doesn't have to be you. I mean, you have a coaching group, and but there's so many. There are others that do, right? Like I I connected with you really well. I enjoyed listening to you. I watched your success. Um, I just wish right when I very first started. In fact, I wish you had started doing this in 2015. And then, like, I just think of all that, like, well, man, what if he was doing it then? Or what if this was a thing then? And like, where would we be now?
Yeah, because I mean, your creative business is going to hit 5 figures
Yes.
this year, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
If you think about
Oh
it.
yes.
So now, honest moment. You
Yeah.
ready? What is one myth about you or your industry that you want to debunk?
Oh, this is good. Okay. All right. Number one, I don't have endless energy. Like I get really excited when I'm talking to people and when I'm on lives and everyone's like, "Oh, I wish I just had part of your energy or I could just bottle up. I wish like I swear I am not always like this. I do have quiet moments. I do have moments when I'm not talking and I'm down and I'm just in my zone and in my moment. Um so that's number 1, but there is a number 2. Like legit, I also want to say this. So many people like I'm reading on all of the a lot of different groups and like, "Oh, the market's so saturated." It isn't. It is not saturated. You need to know where to be and how to market yourself. And it's not saturated there. Like it isn't. And and I'm just gonna go one step back. And my coaching groups remind me of that and tell me of that and reinforce that all the time. So if you think it's too saturated just because you're seeing like, 200,000 followers here or 100,000 followers here, that doesn't mean anything, right? Like it doesn't mean anything. There's room for you, I promise.
Yeah, I think one thing that's important to point out about that is the way that Facebook works. So Facebook shows you what you interact with. So if you interact with a lot of Wreath groups and a lot of Wreath pages, you're going to feel like the market's saturated because that's all Facebook's going to show you.
Yes.
But if you walk across the street and talk to your neighbor, I bet you they see something else on Facebook.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's one of those things that it's a mind game.
Oh, for sure. For
It
sure.
all goes back to that imposter
Yes.
syndrome.
And I will like to add that it's nice to know that because as you were saying that, as I was listening to that podcast, that episode, like I just kept thinking, like, for real, like he thinks that way too. Like, there's no way he's like so successful and has built this empire. Like he has those feelings. Like, really? That's kind of
Yeah.
like reassuring. It's good. That's good for me. Like, I know that's not a good thing, but
I mean, you felt those feelings today
yes,
getting ready for this podcast.
yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
I mean, we all experience it at some point, multiple points, over and over again.
Hmm.
So, for someone just starting out, what are 3 tips that you would say they must do to be successful?
Okay, I'm gonna go back and say again, invest in yourself. I can't help it. You have to, like you have to. If you have followed somebody, watched somebody, have thought, "Oh my gosh, I could do that." If that was one of your thoughts, I could do that. Invest in yourself. Be honest with yourself, can you do that? Yes, I mean it can be done. It's going to take time and persistence and things like that, but invest in yourself. Give yourself the gift of time. Do it right away. That's number 1. Number 2 is keep focused, right? So many times I'm like here and there and all over the place, and I'm up and I'm down and I'm going and then I'm taking a break, and you just keep focused. If you keep your future where what the next step, maybe you're not there yet, maybe you're not ready to take the next step, but if you keep that step in your on the forefront and stay focused, you will progress. Like you will progress. And the third one is to be patient with yourself. Oh my gosh. Like so many times this is going to coincide with, like, don't compare, right? Don't compare yourself, but you have to be patient with yourself. You have to. If you start comparing to someone else, that other person may have a full-time babysitter. They may have, their kids may be older than and they're out of the house, and like uh, you just I think about it all the time. Oh, I should be able to do this, and so's doing this, and so's moving on to this, but I can't every single time I do that. Like, I have to run my own race. And I learned that from Coach Fancy, actually. Um, you have to run your own race. You're in the race with yourself, not anyone else. And when you start to compare, people are running by you, and they started, after you, and it doesn't matter. Their progression is going to be different than yours. So you have to do that. Invest in yourself, keep focused, and what was the third one? Be patient.
So, for someone like you who has a lot of balls in the air, you always have little squirrel moments. Do you have some tips on staying
I
focused?
have some new tips on staying focused
Okay.
that I have been implementing in the last week and a half. So in my old job, I used to be very precise. I used to have a calendar and a planner, and I used to live by it. It was my thing. It was the first thing I did in the morning. It was the last thing I did in the evening. I had a checklist. So if you are like me and scatterbrained and trying to do so many things at once, like Tammy tell me all the time, you gotta get a list going. You gotta get a list going. And I'm like, yeah, I got it in my head. But truly, these last 3 days, just three, and I know that sounds crazy, but it is just three. I have gotten so much done. Like, and I just keep thinking, like, where did my time go? Like, what was I doing before this? And all these other things that I was doing. But so make a list and start checking them out. Even if it's a big list, have your daily list. Oh, I want to do this by the end of the month. Have those lists just so that you can see them all, and then you can start to organize yourself.
Yep. I literally the first thing I do every morning is take out a sticky note and I write down the things that have to be done today and things that I would like to get done today.
Yeah,
And I make sure they're all done before I walk away.
there you go.
But I mean, it's good to hear, like a busy mom can still do this as long as she sticks to some type of list. of things that she needs to get done.
Yes, absolutely. And I take full advantage. Don't even think for 1 second. I take full advantage of nap times. I take full advantage of, we have a strict, not, that sounds horrible, but we have a bedtime routine that starts every day at a certain time. And I know that it's getting a little, not so clear as what time that is, but I know that I can work on my business at certain times of the day. And at first I wasn't a mom, so I had all that time in the beginning. And now, like, as things got more permanent and things shifted around with fostering and all, like, I just I would be waiting for someone to pick up, baby Mo number one, and I would be like sitting in the car writing my next post. Like, you just find those pieces, those moments that you can work.
And I just thought about something like your business is not just online. You also sell in a local boutique, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Do you have any tips on how to find a local boutique, what you look for in those boutiques?
Yes. I'm working on a quick ebook on that.
Are you?
I haven't have it written down. Um, Make sure it's close to you. Okay, so for me, if it's far, and I've been in couple different scenarios, a few different scenarios. So if it's far for me, I'm a mom, and I have to go and drop off new material or new product consistently. Like, that's a pain when you have to drive for an hour and you're going to be there for so long. That's a pain. So have it close to you, number one. Make sure, so this is a big thing for me. Make sure if your item is listed on Etsy that you have permission with the boutique that if it sells on Etsy, you can go there and grab it. Or if they sell an item, they're going to quickly by the end of the day or when they get a moment, they're going to let you know, hey, the big fall with the welcome sold today. Okay, so I want to have the opportunity to have it in two places. I want as many eyes on it as absolutely possible, right? And then number three, and a lot of different places may have their own rules, but number three is I want my name to be in that shop. It's my product in that shop. I want my name to be in that shop, whether it be, my each individual item has my business card with my name on it, or, my business card's just at the front where if someone says, hey, who made those wreaths? I want that shop to say, if you don't see anything here, she also has online too. Like, I want to make sure that part is a good fit. If they're very strict on not wanting to give out your name and not wanting to promote you, or that's just, to me, this is not like the best partner you want to be, doing work with.
I would agree with that. I mean, you don't walk into Walmart and see all the price tags covered with the names on it, right?
Right.
Walmart is happy to hang a huge sign that says, we have XYZ in our store. Come
Yes.
get it.
Absolutely.
So you want that to be a partnership and not just a wholesale company, basically.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
So the other thing that I would add to that is if it feels like a garage sale when you walk in, you can't put your quality pieces in there.
Right.
So that was one thing that was just always a red flag for me. If I walked in and there were used tennis shoes for sale, probably not a place I want to put my product.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. I was in a boutique where half of it was a resale, and like a resale, like women's clothing, and then half of it was all set up really cute, but like people were mostly going there because they knew it was resale, and
Yeah.
that just
And so in the store that
I
I'm
get out
still
of
in,
there
one of
quick.
our friends actually, she did resell stuff. She would go buy clothes from Goodwill and stuff and bring it into the shop and pair it with the handmade jewelry that she made. And she would sell the whole outfit, but she still sold it at high end prices. And the way that she displayed it was high end. So it wasn't like a bin with
Yes.
stuff in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that I could see. I could see that would work. And plus the people that are coming there for that sort of thing, like, they're looking for a whole ensemble, right? They're looking to spend a little more money, not just $2 or $3.
Right. So if I want to sell a $200 wreath next to a pair of 50-cent sneakers, it's probably not going to work out. So if you walk in and you don't want to take your credit card out,
Right,
don't do
yes.
it. Don't
That's
do it.
true.
All right. So with all the things in the community and the environment right now with Corona and all of the craziness, what have you seen in your online business in the last few months that have surprised you?
Well, the very obvious. I I feel guilty about it too. We've been selling and selling and selling and selling, and I I, um, I never expected I never expected to drive by a, a brick and mortar and see their doors closed and feel guilty that I was doing well. I never expected that, but here I am, like, people are home. They are, they might have extra money. Some people are still working. They're working from home, and now they still have extra time because they're not spending all their time running all over the place. Like, people are shopping online. It has been, and then this is also going to sound horrible, but it's been good for us. Like, uh, and plus I'm able to reach more people, who are home, and my lives are numbers are increasing, but it's because more people can get online. And, like, not only is my wreath business, wreath selling business, increasing, but I know our coaching group is doing so much better, like, or not so much better, but doing well, right? Like, people can see that, they're home. Maybe they are furloughed for a day, or they are working less and have less of an income, and um, they can see that there's other places to make money.
Yeah, I would agree with that completely. Our When it first happened, I was like, "Oh God, what's about to happen with our business? What's about to happen with our students? What change is this going to make for our lifestyle right now?" And what it did was we actually increased sales by almost 400%.
Wow. Yes. That's
I
fantastic.
mean, it was insane, and the sales are still higher. And I had the same reaction when I went to my friends' stores and I saw my friends with brick and mortars who were struggling. And I was like, I tried to tell you, I tried to help you get online. The importance of selling online in today's world is crazy.
Mhm.
If you look at like huge stores right now that are on the verge of bankruptcy, they're shutting their doors, they're closing down, they're not coming back from Corona. And it's because they didn't have an online presence.
Yes. And just going back one step, I mean, it's not saying that you can't be in boutiques and things, like, you can't have a brick and mortar. It's not saying that. It's not, but but during this whole thing, you've, like, the importance of adding that online space, and being having the opportunity, having the, ability for people to shop with you that way. Oh, you're shut down today? Oh, it's okay. Our shop's open. Like, you know, being able to adapt is definitely what, Corona has been teaching a lot.
I think it's the ability to grow an online community.
Yes. Yep.
If those brick and mortars would have put a little bit of energy in nurturing their people online and not just in person, they could have easily switched to, hey guys, we're going to do a live walkthrough sale today. Call us. We'll be here all day. Here's what's in stock.
So true. So one of the people that I follow, who has, a brick and mortar. At first, it was slow for them to get moving, and now I see them all the time live, and they've revived themselves. Like, they did have an online presence, but it was not consistent. And now I see them all the time. I see them so much that, like, I even want to shop there. I'm like, what are they selling? Like, I'm finding myself, like, listening to their lives and stuff, and like, you being able to transition, and plus, when you have a brick and mortar, you, in most cases, especially when you're a small business, you already have a very consistent customer base. You already have that. And just getting them to say, hey, you're in conversation, you're standing at the desk and you're talking for them for 2 or 3 minutes when they're checking out. Hey, do you have Facebook? Hey, follow me here. We got lots of stuff going on there. You know, Even getting them to do that first like so that they're already there is so important.
First, like an email list, anything,
Yes.
just some way to talk to your customers.
Yes.
There's one lady that I see on Facebook all the time who is never on Facebook. She has a little resale shop or a consignment shop, and she started hers by when Corona first happened. She was doing a daily morning like prayer or Bible reading for her community.
Nice.
So she made it very targeted. The prayers were her for like her local businesses, her local people that she knew, so that her local people would show up and look at her page
Yeah.
because she knew she didn't want to ship.
Oh, yeah.
So her whole message was, today we're going to pray for our friends at the store next door. so that her community felt invested in what she was doing.
Yes. Smart. Very smart.
Little small tweaks like that will go a long way.
Absolutely.
So, Mel, with all of the ups and downs and the struggles, is the whole thing worth it?
Oh my gosh, yes. Are you kidding me? Yes. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would make changes along the way, but holy moly, yes. It's totally worth it. This it's absolutely.
So, do you have any? You kind of mentioned a new ebook possibly coming out. So, what other big surprises do you have coming for your audience soon?
I don't know if I have. Oh, well, it's not really a surprise because I've been talking about it a while now, but I do have, it's not at this very moment, it's not technically up and running, but I do have sincerelycreativemom.com, a blog coming out. I'm so excited about it. I can't, I'm so excited about it. We're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about fostering. We're going to talk about being a mom. We're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about DIY projects because my husband can't stop doing those. Like I'm so excited. I found myself last night writing and I'm like, wow, this is really long. It should probably be a blog, but I'm going to keep writing. um so that is coming soon if I would get myself together and write the rest of the stuff I gotta write. And it's not also not a surprise. So we are doing Quick Win Weekend. I'm it's not a surprise. It's already out there. I'm so stinking excited about it. I can't even contain myself. I know that so many people are doing like events and we have Wreath Makers Live and we have retreats and we have all these things, but finally I'm excited to be a part of one of my own and I'm super excited about it. So that we have that.
So, what is Quick Win Weekend?
Quick Win Weekend is Jackie from the Fancy Front Door, Tammy from Polka Dot Wreath Co., and myself, Mellie Mel from Sincerely Creative Mom. We are doing we're doing a Quick Win Weekend where the three of us are going to do, each of us are going to do one recorded tutorial, a showstopper, big, huge thing, right? So that, number one, so that folks get to see a recorded tutorial. Not everybody, a lot of our audience isn't in a group and they're not seeing a recorded tutorial on a regular basis. So we wanted to give them that luxury. And by the way, we wanted to make it super big so that their recorded tutorial has a lot of steps and they can see all these things and record and go back. So we have a recorded tutorial, 3 recorded tutorials, and then we'll be live doing each of us will be doing a quick win design tutorial, and then each of us are giving a quick win business tutorial, which I'm so excited about mine. I can't even take it. I can't wait to tell everybody. And then we're going to do a Q&A. So 3 recorded tutorials, 3 live design tutorials, 3 business tutorials, and a live Q&A.
So, if a listener wanted to find out more information about you and what you do, where can they find you online?
So my favorite place to hang out is Facebook. So you can find me on Facebook at Sincerely Creative Mom. I'm on Etsy, Sincerely Creative Mom. Instagram, I'm playing with. We're at the very beginning stages. So I don't even think I changed my name over there yet. So it's probably still Sincerely Creative. And then soon, super soon, is going to be sincerelycreativemom.com.
So, as always, we have one last question. It's our signature question, Mel. Can you tell me what being a maker means to you?
It means I get to be a mom. I know that sounds so, when we talked about it before, you're like, just don't overthink it. I'm like, okay, well, the answer. Being a maker to me means I get to be a mom. It's in the most simplest way. I would have never went down this path if all the things didn't align the way they did. I know myself. I would have never done this. I would have never done this. So being a maker means I get to be home with my kids and I get to contribute to our on our family and our income, and I get to be a part of that and feel that sort of importance in our family. And I get to have so much fun and meet so many new people and try my hardest to inspire, even though sometimes I can't find my own words. And I get to do all of that, and I get to be a mom. I get to be here and do art projects with my kids every day if I want to. I get to go outside and play on the new trampoline. I get to do all of those things. I mean, I make things. I'm a maker. I make things. I scrapbooks and birthday decorations and wedding invitations and all the things that I started with. And right now it's wreath making, right? but I've made all of my life, and I've always had the same response. Like everyone would say, "You missed your calling. You should really do this. You know, this is your thing." And I would always say the same thing: "You can't make money making crafts. You can't." I would say the same thing. I might say it differently, but I would say the same thing. And then I was lying to myself. I was totally just lying to myself. You totally can't. And so because I am a maker, I get to have the time to be a mom.
So, Mel, some people may not know your backstory, and I think it's truly inspiring. It's one of our favorite stories to tell. Do you want to go into that at all? A little bit of the mom story?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so my husband and I got married in 2012, and we wanted kids. Like all my life I wanted kids. Even before I met him, I just knew I wanted kids. That was it. And we started right away, you know, trying the right way. It just didn't happen. And we went into serious fertility, infertility. We went into all the drugs and all the procedures and all the things and all the things. We spent an enormous amount of tears, countless dollars. I can't, we just tried our hardest. And I was thinking about this other day, actually, on my way home yesterday, and I was thinking, man, all of those things, but I was so stressed along the way. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what procedure it was. It didn't matter what was going on, but I was working like 14 and 15 hours a day. Like I wasn't even letting myself like try. We were trying hard. And when I would have to go get another shot and it would be time for me to leave and it was going to be billing and I knew this other report was due, like I just wasn't letting myself just relax. And everyone kept saying, just relax, it'll happen. Just relax, it'll happen. I kept thinking, like, really? I have a job that's like crazy and I work this many hours. Like, how can I relax? We had some bad things happen along the way. We had a couple miscarriages, and I had to have surgeries, and it was just not good. And so finally, we got to the point where we're just like, okay, like I can't anymore. I just have to like give it to God. I just literally got to that point in our journey, both of us. We just had to stop. We just had to stop. And we moved. We bought a house and we moved. And right after we moved, I found out that I was losing my job. Like I wasn't even going to have a job. And so, we bought our house based on my income. I had a fancy income. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my job. I worked hard, and I was paid for it. And so, still at this point, after we moved, we still didn't think that we were going to go back to the fertility doctor. We just didn't talk about it. Aaron works for our city or our county, and he was started with CPS, and then he was licensing homes for foster care. And so that was the first time ever that we have even considered foster care. And still I said, like fostering is demanding. You have to be available for appointments and visits with the parents and the attorney and the workers and the social workers and the early on learning and the early on, like you have to be available for all those things. And I knew that I couldn't. I had this job, and I knew that if I was going to get another job and work, that I wasn't going to give myself that time. And I was working from home. It was the end of my job. It was in September. My job was ending January 31st. And in February, so I found you in September, right? This had already started percolating, and that's my favorite stinking word. It just was in my head. It was just going like, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. And I knew, okay, so my job is ending. I had moved north an hour. I knew that in the new city that I was in, I was not 100% not going to make the salary that I was making before, right? And so in my head, I'm already thinking I'm going to have a full-time job, and maybe I'll get a part-time job at Hobby Lobby. That was what was going through my head. That was serious. And so then I found you, and I just kept thinking, like percolating. It just kept going, like I could do this. I totally could. I totally could. And then in February, Aaron was actually on loan back to CPS, and he had a really bad case. And it took us it took us both to our knees. And that was the very first time Aaron was working on the we were remodeling our bathroom. He was in the bathroom and he comes out of the bathroom and he says, and he's like, just, his face is red. You can tell he's been sobbing. And he's like, I think this case is the reason we're supposed to become foster parents. There was a kid that was involved, and like, we knew that the chances of us being able to foster that exact child was very slim to none, just because we didn't start anything, and that was it. We didn't have another conversation about it. The very next day Aaron woke up, he called we couldn't be licensed through our county because Aaron worked for a county. So the very next day he called the people and they were out the following week, and we were filling out paperwork, and it just all like went. And I would have never ever, ever agreed in my own head, not even agreed with Aaron, but like with myself, I would have never allowed myself to do that if I had a full-time job. I wouldn't. I mean, I know, I'm not saying that you can't, because I know that there are so many parents out there. There are so many foster parents that are doing it and rocking it and are able to do that. But my brain isn't like that. I knew I would have wanted to give more time, and then I would have just been angry with my job that I couldn't do that. And so, like, and they say like, oh, the stars aligned. Like, I swear, like, that's what happened. It was just like I wasn't supposed to find a job, and I had interviewed and did great, and I let some things pass. And honestly, at a certain point, I like let opportunities for a real job, like I say in air quotes, real job, pass me, because I knew I didn't want to go back to corporate America. And so there we are. We're in 2018. In February, we started the ball, and then by July, we had our license, and then we had our first placement, and then we had our next placement, and then while we had our second placement, Addison Grayson came to us, and then here we are. Like, it just all happened.
It was an honor to be able to be there and watch the finalization of the adoption for sure.
I having someone who changed the course of your life be there for something else that's going to change the course of my life again was, I can't even. I knew that it was a big thing for you and Parker to take time out and just be there, not as your friend, like as someone who was part of your community. Even just that sort of level of dedication, like, just was the icing on the cake for that day. It was just awesome.
Awesome. I love that story. It's amazing to hear, that being a maker has absolutely allowed you to take this journey that you really wanted your whole life.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. If it would have been, if I would have not, okay, if you would have been this like superstar, I can't help but say that. I'm sorry. So I'm not trying to like toot your horn or anything. I'm just being real. Like, if you wouldn't have had such a strong path already going, I would have been like, oh yeah, he's trying to make it, and then it just one thing after another snowballed, and I'm like, I can totally do that. I can totally do that, and not going back to work and having the belief that maybe I really can do this. Like, that in itself allowed me to make the decision to foster. Not that I was making a lot of money, because that wasn't the case in the beginning, but you know, it just allowed me to have the time, and I love it.
So, Mel, any last words?
So many people say, "Oh, I haven't been able to get started because I don't have a business name." Okay, so look, I sat with a stinking spreadsheet and a dictionary and a thesaurus, and I was pulling out all the words that I could possibly think of, and I wanted to use my grandmother's initials, and I wanted to use all three of her initials, SMC, right? I put so much thought into it, and it SMC didn't fit. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do sincerely creative, right? So, but now I've changed it now, sincerely creative mom. But I put all that thought into it when it was just supposed to just you can change it. If I mean, it doesn't have to be such a huge thing. Just start. Pick a name. What is it? What's your name? Damon? Okay, Damon's Designs. Boom, done. Let's get rolling. Like, don't let that part hold you up. I was asking my friends, and I was like, hey, texting them, hey, if you had to describe me and my business, what words would you use? Don't. Just don't. Just
Absolutely. that's one of the biggest things I say too, is like no one is going to remember what your name is if they don't remember what you do. So if they can describe your business, it's so much better than worrying about what your name is.
Yes, absolutely. Totally.
All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out and listening to us today. And we will be back on in a couple days.